To continue with the day, we have Engineer B. Swamy to share his valuable thoughts on biotechers, the one who wins the new wars. Engineer Swamy is a founder and CEO of Ariviya, an biopolymer tech startup based out of Silicon Valley, California and Pattukotai, Tanjavur. He is a farmer by heart, an engineer by education, and serial entrepreneur by passion from Silicon Valley, California, USA. He is a CTO of Silicon Valley startup called Shared Practice and co-founder and CTO of Hollywood startup called Photoboxy and founder of tech team for Harmony Health Clinic in Little Rock, US. He is also founder of Indo-US NRI Care, founder of Indo-US Institute of Tamil Language and Culture in Little Rock. Moreover, he also has experience in product development, marketing, networking, and fundraising. We welcome Engineer B. Swamy to enlighten us on with worthwhile insight. Over to you, sir.
Hey, thank you, Soundarya. Thank you. That's a nice introduction. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Purushothaman and Dr. Shubhambi for organizing such a wonderful event. This is good. Like this is bringing all these people on a table and having a meaningful conversation is not a easy job. Like on behalf of all the participants, I'm really thanking you, Purushothaman and Shubhambi, for organizing this. And I also want to thank Kumaran, the Dean Research of Periyar Maniam University, for introducing me to such a wonderful people. I appreciate that. Like you introduced a lot of scientists, researchers to me, and that's amazing. And I really appreciate that. Like that's a big compliment you are bringing to our team. So really, thank you, Kumaran, for that.
Thank you, sir.
And I also want to say a big thanks to Aruna, the CEO of the Technology Business Incubator in Periyar Maniam University, to bring people like us, people like me and people like Purushothaman to the place and to nourish, to grow. So what Periyar Maniam University is doing, especially with the Technology Business Incubator in the Tanjore region, that is very, very valuable, and you guys are really appreciable. Like whatever you are doing is, we cannot really measure now, maybe down the 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, somebody will say that like because of you guys, I started this company. Because of you guys, like we did this. So advance thanks to the Periyar Maniam University itself. So, and Bennett, your talk is really amazing, Bennett. Like it's very inspiring. Like a lot of valuable points you throw that. That is something every participant should take home, and especially the advice to the student you said, like, hey, don't go for the salary. Salary is a byproduct, yes. Like, monetary is a byproduct. Go for the passion. That is a very valuable advice. Like, I really wish somebody 20 years back advised me with that such an advice. Yes.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you and welcome. Thank you, Doctor, and welcome to the section. Very happy morning to you, and thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So with that, let me start. Let me share. So what I'm gonna talk today is the biotechers, the one who wins the new war. And before jumping into that, the real quick, like it's gonna take less than 5 minutes, so I can set the stage, so you all know from whom you are listening or from whom you are hearing this. I'm not a PhD. I'm not a researcher. I'm an engineer and I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm an outsider here, like with all the list of speakers, the view and the perspective which is going to come from me will be a little different. and sometimes it might be raw. So I am the founder and CEO of Ariviya. What we do in Ariviya, like everyone who works in Ariviya, we all believe in science. We all believe like human, animals, and plants all coexisted. We should understand each other, and we should understand each other by using science, so we all can live better. And with that mindset, converting that mindset as a business, that's where the startup comes in. So we use nanotechnology, biotechnology, and polymer technology to create new drugs, biosensors, and antimicrobials. And our business focus are the products, whatever we create towards the public health and farm animal health and pet animal health. And when I say public health, especially in the last 2 years, the world knows why the health is more important, or why the public health is more important. And this is me. I am an engineer. I don't have a scientific background or a research background, but I work with scientists, and that is something I want, especially the participants who are all students or who are all freshers. You don't need to know everything on the day one. All you have to have is a confidence or belief that yes, I'm going forward and I'm going to make it. And you will find right people on your journey. So I found right people, and I'm working with them, and we are making a lot of progress using real science, solving the real world problem. That's what we love to do. And we are presented, we have a lab and here in the United States in the biotech Bay and in Silicon Valley, and we also have a lab in Patakotai. The reason why I'm showing this one, we are strategically located in different places and still collaborate. So that means, like, if you are in a science, and if you are a science student or a science researcher, you are no more belong to a country, you are no more belong to a region, you are a global citizen. And that mindset is something you guys need, even to solve the problem which comes on your way, because you are solving for the humanity, not for one region. So this is just where the biotech pay, like all the big biotech companies, all our neighbors here in the Silicon Valley. So that's to set the stage, like who I am, like what I'm doing, and what I'm going to talk here. It is not an advice I'm going to do today, but it is an ask, or it is a request to the biotechers, the scientists or the students, or from the industrialist, from the biotechnology, or anybody in general from the life science. So before getting into the wars, like how biotechers can win this new war, what is generally war means? War is an armed conflict. It's a state. It is a state where there is a conflict, but it is also armed. What is that armed means? If someone carrying a weapon, then they are armed. What is that weapon means? The weapon is designed to inflict bodily harm. Like these are all the definition, you can Google it and find out. But if you connect this, like armed weapon, and that is something, a weapon, and it can harm you and physically damage. And there is another word, like again, this is the total war. This is the term people use it, that war is fought with no rules, with no agreed rules. It's unrestricted. You cannot really control. You cannot really accept, or you cannot really understand how this war is going to be done. So this is the general definition on war. And what happens in the war? In any war, mass violence, aggression, destruction, huge mortality. And who do this war? Like the huge mortality, I really want you guys to have a note on it. Huge, n number of people die in a war. And who do this war? Maybe governments, some society or paramilitary or some militia. Like they have a motto, or they have an objective, or they have a role which they are performing, and that end up in a conflict, that end up in a war. So, but like whenever we hear the war or something, like we always see guns, missiles. That's a mindset or that's a figure which comes in our brain. But if you see the end, what happens in the war is people die in a huge mortality. Like there's a huge number of people die, mass thing. That happens in several other things, but we are not really calling that as a war. But like just to this point, like what is this government like? Why they do the war? Like is it like they are interested in doing war? No, they don't. Governments are not formed to do a war, but they have a role to defend something. They have a role to defend their citizen, like protect the citizen from threats, defend their rights. In order to do that, they have end up in a conflict, and where they end up in going for a war. And the government roles, there are other roles. Transportation, providing transportation, education to the citizen, administration in the law and order, justice, finance, economy. But if the government missed the first point, if the government cannot protect the citizen, and there is no point, or the people not going to have a trust on the government, no matter how good your transportation or education, or how good your justice or law and order and all. So the first role, like I am here to protect you. That's the government or some state or like somebody says that I'm here to protect you. So people trust that. So in order to do that, the government spend a lot of money. When I say a lot of money, it's all in trillion overall in the world. But just the United States itself is spending 778 billion. And you see all the other big countries who put huge dollars, huge investment on the defense only with the sole purpose, so I'm spending this money so I can protect my people. I can protect my people from the war, I can protect the people from the threat, so I can save them. What does that say? I don't want my citizen to get killed by any external forces, or including me. Like that's the government mindset. So they don't want, they are basically spending all this dollar to protect the citizen. And it is not just spending money. It's you have to be a good economy to do that. And these are all the world biggest economy. Big countries who have the economy in trillions, like United States, China, India, Brazil. And we have such a huge economy, and we have a huge military power. So we all can protect our citizens. And you see, all these countries are the most powerful countries. Like this data is actually, I gave the source. It's a combination of political power, social power, cultural power, scientific power. You put like several other power, including economy, military power. Like these are all the big superpowers or the superior powers in the world, including India. And I really want you to have a note on all this name of this country: India, USA, Brazil. But even with all these powers, like it is not just military or economy. They are superpower. They also spend several $1 billion on research and development. All these countries, because the government has a role to invest. It is a mandate for them to go and invest in research and development, so I can give a better life for my citizens, better life for my people. And every other country does that. Like the big countries do more, and maybe depend upon the strategic position, they spend more or less, but they all have the same mandate that they all has to protect the citizen. But still, all these countries struggles to defend. But still, with all those big powers, superpower, all the scientific invention we had so far, and all the dollars we spend on defense, R&D, economy, creating industries, but still we struggle on the very basic thing, hey, whether I can protect my citizen from dying. Still we struggle on the very basic need of a governance, that the government is there to protect me and my family, so I can live without any fear that I'm not going to die today. By the time I think you all got an idea. So in the last 2 years, the number of deaths in the world is way way more than what we all can imagine. Like it is really bigger. Like just on the US itself, they did the Vietnam War, they did the Korean War, they did the World War. Putting all this number together, that is almost equal to what they the number of deaths in the United States in last 20 months. And US is one of the superpower, and they invested, like you see here, in every other box. The US is a big box. They spend all this money with the purpose of to protect the citizen or to make the citizen live happily, but they couldn't be able to achieve that. Now you can come and define for or give an explanation in whatever way, but like the ultimate base goal as a government, I want to protect my citizen, and I invested money all these years, but I couldn't be able to use that. So this is another, just the same for the United States, like starting from their American Revolution or the Civil War. Just putting this number, this COVID-19 is a old number, like right now it is more than 500,000. But the point here is the COVID or any pandemic death is more or like at least equal to all the wars. It is not just the United States, every other country. This is a known fact. It's every other country having a huge loss in their citizen. They couldn't be able to protect for whatever reason, and the mortality rate is going up like anything. Now you may think like, come on, man, like what is this comparison? Like you are talking about death on a war, like and you are comparing the death on the pandemic. Like you cannot really avoid pandemic. This is comparing apple with oranges. Yeah, you're right. It means we don't want to disrespect all those death happened in a war. That is not our intention. And we are not here to compare apple with oranges. Or it is not which is better or which is worse. That is not the comparison which we are trying to do. But we are here to see the purpose, like both, like, yeah, it is not comparing apple with orange, but like the both of them having a purpose is to fill my tummy, is to feed me, like, or to meet my hungriness. So if I see from that, like for me, both are same. It's all about the perspective. If you put that kind of thing left and right, like, hey, on one side, there's a huge money I spend on protecting my citizen, which I believe, like, which I build all this, like, after the World War II, like maybe from the World War I, we invested huge money in several other ways to protect my citizen. On the other side, we developed a vaccine in less than 18 months, or maybe even lesser than that. And just for the sake of comparison, if you really compare this, like which one is really saving more people's life? Is it vaccine? And if vaccine is saving more life, how much we are spending to develop a vaccine? If you just see all the numbers collectively, I'm not talking about how much money we are spending on manufacturing the vaccine, or I'm not talking about how much it is going to cost to really go and vaccinate all the whole world, or every other citizen in the whole world, but like how much money we spend on going and develop the RNA vaccine by using an RNA. It is peanut. If you see this number, it is really, really a peanut when compared to all the numbers I just showed on the top. So that means, are we missing any math, or like we are spending somewhere which we don't need to, or like, yeah, that we need this. We need all this difference. We need the nuclear power. We are spending on nuclear power with, and we are bringing this nuclear power to our military. But like, it's been used twice in the world, only twice in the world in Japan. But like after that, like nobody bombed anyone. But like every other country want to build a nuclear power because they want to protect their citizens. At least like having that will bring me peace. That's what Dr. Abdul Kalam said. Like having a ammunition or having a nuclear power, it brings a peace to your country because the others won't bother you. If that is the case, then maybe we should also keep inventing, or maybe investing in R&D to develop solution for the problem which never exists, or the problem which is going to come. Because there is a problem which came 2 years back, like 20 months back, but we couldn't able to use all our science or knowledge, and we couldn't able to solve the problem overnight. So that means there is always a gap. So that means there is always an opportunity for biotechers, especially like the students who are in this forum and all the research people. You have a lot of opportunity to come and solve the real world problem. The reason, because we have a lot of problem here which has to be solved. So no matter what, like this is the money which we spend on the R&D, but in order to go and implement that, in order to go and put vaccine on all the people, we are going to spend another 157 billion in next 3 years, like it's for the mass vaccination programs, the booster shot which we are talking about, and maybe we have to do the vaccine for every 2 years. That's another business. I'm not getting into that, but there is, as a government or as any state, they are going to spend such a collectively this money, $1 billion. So that means it is also an opportunity for any entrepreneur to see how I can solve the problem which is going to come tomorrow passionately. On the side, as a byproduct, I make money. And that is exactly Bennett said, like you should have a passion. You should have a passion to go out and solve the real world problem. And don't go for salary. Don't take biotechnology, or like don't take life science profession as a job. You have higher responsibility, because like you are really helping the world, you are really helping the individual people, you are really protecting them. And whatever product you do, it is not, I'm just, I don't want you guys to see this presentation or see this talk just on the vaccine itself, but see that as an example and apply it. It's like if at all you have a question, no, man, come on, the vaccine doesn't work, like that's not working. I hope like this is a scientific forum, a lot of researchers, you may believe that. If you still not believe that that vaccine is not going to work, yeah, if it is not going to prevent infection, but at least it is preventing me from the death. At least 99% of the and the 99% of the COVID death happening in the United States is the people who are unvaccinated. This is the very latest data. So what does that mean? Like, what is this all about? Like, that's whatever I gave here, it is a one example. But like, there are several other problems where people who work in life science, researchers, scientists, guys, you can solve the problem, you can protect the world than the politician, than the military, government. I'm not disqualifying, I'm not disrespecting them. I am seeing that who has the power, or who has the more power in this world, who can really go and solve the problem happening in the world as of today, and the problem which is going to come tomorrow. That's another big subject. It is not necessarily has to be a vaccine. It not necessarily has to be a drug. It is not necessarily has to be a something people consume. Like it can be anything. Like you can invent a new construction material, because we don't want to go and cut the trees. You can come up with all the crazy ideas of biofuels, biopesticide, bioplastic, even like cosmetics. Like too much chemicals, guys. Too much chemicals. New way of clothing. Cultivated meat. Like people have different opinion on cultivated meat or the lab-grown meat, and that's another word they use. But like there is a need. There is a need. There is a by 2030 we are going to fight for food. There's a huge scarcity is coming on. So maybe instead of fighting, we'll be eating the cultivated meat. I'm not predicting, I'm not saying this is how the future is going to be, but I am for sure there is going to be a new problem will come on our way. And I believe biotechers I just throw that word biotech, like our biotechnologists or somebody in the research field or somebody scientific, a scientist, literally like just name it scientist, you guys can solve the problem. But when you solve the problem, please solve the problem in such a way that we can go and use. And that is exactly Bennett said, like there is a huge gap between the academic and the industry. It is like always left and right. But it has to come together. Like what you study, whatever you do in your research or whatever you learn in your academic should be exactly the same thing what the real people need. And in order to do that, you have to start from the people or from the problem rather than from the book. So it's like the power of biotechnology. I don't need to preach. You guys know very well more than me because you are in that industry. But guys, like we really need you. The world needs you. The world needs you because you are the most powerful person or the most powerful professional you are. If you don't believe me, this is an example. The vaccine saving millions of lives now than all the other thing or all the other kind of professions. So you are the most powerful person, but at the same time, the power comes with the responsibility. How I'm going to solve this problem, or how I'm going to put my next 5 years of research, or how I'm going to spend my college, and what I'm going to do after my college. So choosing that is very, very important because when you are choosing that, you are not just a normal person choosing the next 5 years. You are the person with the power. You have to choose the right problem to solve. So the world get benefited or the world gets saved in this case. Just an analogy, like what is this, like how to solve the problem. I just want to, there is a STD booth or a telephone booth here, and that comes to the iPhone on the other side later. Assume that like we are all living in 1995. I mean, this is the analogy we use here in Silicon Valley in product development, how to think, how to solve the problem, or how to see the problem. So assume that like you are a, you want to research, like what I want to research? I just want to get a PhD. No, don't go and do something to get a PhD. You do something meaningful for the world. You research or you find, or you being an entrepreneur, you do a service or do a product, or being just a researcher, you do your research. On the side, you get the PhD, but your research has to go to the people. And how to identify that? Like if you are in 1995, like let's say you are looking for all the problems in the world. And just an analogy, okay, there is a telephone booth. I hope like some of the people had an experience here. I'm not about the students, but at least the people from the industry or the researchers or senior PhDs knows that like talking inside the STD booth is very tough. It's very hard, and there is a lot of echo. You cannot really breathe because it is closed. There's a X number of problems, you can list it out. And let's say I'm a researcher. Now I'm thinking, hey, okay, hey, there is a problem in front of my eyes. This STD booth, talking inside the STD booth is echoing. It is very hard to breathe. And I'm going to solve the problem. I'm going to spend next 2 years, 3 years to solve this problem. And you can come up with all the idea. Oh, there is a fan. Oh, the fan makes a noise. Oh, maybe I will come with the AC. Oh, I am going to invent a material which is not going to echo. I'm going to put that inside the STD booth. And you can spend time researching on that and coming up with a solution. By the time you come up with the solution, the problem itself may become irrelevant. By 1995, you start that. By 2000, that STD booths are gone. We are moved to mobile. From mobile, we move to smartphone now. So yes, you have the power, but you also have the responsibility to see the problem which is going to come tomorrow, not the problem which is in front of you. I'm not saying like you should not solve that problem, but I am saying like people like you should give high weightage on the problem which is going to come with the future. Maybe like, hey, there is something mobile is the new thing which is going to come in another 5 years or another 10 years. There is something called smartphone. Like there are predictions. There are like a lot of articles and predictions how the future is going to be. Maybe that's where you have to get started. So if this is the future, what is the problem? If people going to like people putting the phone on their pillow and they're sleeping, maybe exposing to the radiation. Maybe that's the problem which I have to solve. Are people looking into the phone more than 5 to 6 hours? The eyes get irritated. Maybe that's a problem I should solve. So it is not what you see, it is also what is going to come tomorrow or what you not seen now.